Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I have a bunch of cruise news stories today, but the last one you really want to pay attention to, because if you thought you were safe booking your airfare through the cruise line, guaranteed you getting to the ship and your money is safe and you got to hear this story. So the first news we have today is on Celebrity Cruise Line, as they have just received a pretty prestigious awards. They have been rewarded the first ever Forbs Travel Star Award. That's right. It's the first ever for a cruise line out there. They normally hold these for hotels or resorts that can hold over 1,000 rooms. And there's only 20 out there right now that have received the Forbes Star Award. And Celebrity Cruise Line is the first cruise line in the world to receive that honor. And it goes for 5 of their ships. Now, the 5 ships are the Celebrity Apex, the Celebrity Edge, the Flora, the Millennium, and the Summit. And I can't disagree. They say they've constantly reach standards with service and quality, and they don't announce they're going. They send people incognito to review the cruise ships, and the only ones to pass this were these 5 ships on Celebrity Cruise Line. Now, the whole cruise line itself has to be able to have over 1,000 rooms. So if you're having a boutique cruise line that only has, small ships, they don't qualify. So there may be more luxury ships out there that do a good job as well, but Celebrity is the first big one to receive that. And I've been on all those ships except for the Flora. So I think I'm gonna have to fix that first. The Flora is an expedition ship. It's their newest one. It looks beautiful, but it's pretty expensive to get on that. And the itineraries are mostly, expedition type ships to Antarctica or the Galapagos Islands. So but I really would love to do that. Another thing out there, their sister company there, they're part of the Royal Caribbean Group, says, hey, get ready for more ships. That's right. They haven't even delivered the Icon of the Seas yet, and they just had the steel cutting ceremony in Finland for the next Icon of the Seas cruise ship, unnamed yet, which is set to debut in 2025. The Icon comes out in 2024. And if you think 2 of the largest cruise ships in the world ever built is enough, well, no, get ready for another one in 2025. That's right. They got 3 of them already on the books, getting ready to be built. And so let's hope the design is really good and people like the design of the ship and don't start, because they also have, we have the Oasis class out there. We have the Quantum class out there. So there's lots of large ships to choose on Royal themselves, let alone going to like a Mardi Gras on Carnival or an Ion ship with, you never know. So but they have to put these on order because it takes so long to build and so much money has to go into it. So let's, fingers crossed, everyone loves the design, because it's a completely new design and not everyone's going to love it, but not everyone loved the Oasis class, and now those ships sell out all the time. Next, I have a story you're going to want to hear about if you're booking your flights through cruise lines and you think, oh, it's guaranteed, I'm safe, they're going to make sure I get to the cruise line. But before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with all things cruising, including warning signs like this, because I even go by these cruise lines' flight policies as being, basically the same. They're going to guarantee to get. Why else would I book through the cruise line? Why would I not make my own flights, right? So things like that. And I hope you'll join us here on the channel. I'll keep you up to date with everything cruising, including vlogs, places, trips around the world, more cruising coming up in the near future. And I think we'll have a great time on the channel, and it really does help out when you subscribe, and I really do appreciate it. Okay. We have a story about the Dills. Now, this came to light on NBC's CT Responds, which is a program that people can call in if they're having troubles getting money back or problems with landlords or something like that. And then the news will like this place will sometimes go into it and see, hey, yeah, that does sound unfair. Let's look into it. So we have this couple who were flying to Europe. They had just finished off cancer treatments. They've been having a couple tough years, and they decided they want to have a really good dream vacation. And they booked their cruise package, the entire package, through Norwegian Cruise Line. And off they went on their vacation, and they got to the airport, and they were horrified to find out their flight had been canceled because the airline went on strike. And so there was nobody there to service them. They had received no emails, no notifications whatsoever that their flight was canceled, even though they were all pre-registered and things like that. So they immediately got on the phone to a representative from Norwegian Cruise Line, and they told them, you know, they had to work with the airline themselves to try and get this resolved. So they were working with the airline. They finally got flight through another carrier to get there, and they would arrive slightly after the 2 o'clock. So around 3 o'clock. Well, Norwegian Cruise Line told them, well, if you don't arrive by 2 o'clock, you cannot get on the ship. We will not allow you on the ship. Even though the ship wasn't leaving till 4:30, 5 o'clock, they say they need a minimum time before disembarkation to, you know, for the embarkation process, and they set a limit, and that's what they stick with. And cruise lines do that as often as possible. They said you can try and join the cruise at a future port, and they recommended a port 2 stops later, like 3 stops into the cruise, but they will have to have their emergency response service team give them a call and do the details because they can't do it there on that line. Well, that call never came. They jumped on the flights, headed over to Europe, and never got a call. They continued to call customer service. Customer service says, yeah, don't worry, they're going to call you, they're going to call you. To this day, 8 months later, they had never received a call from the emergency response team. They ended up not being able to get to the cruise, not paying for a hotel in Europe while they tried to get ways to get to this cruise, and then ended up paying for their flights to come home as well. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars gone, and you didn't have your vacation. This is when NBC CT Responds gets involved, and they call the cruise line, and they call the same number that the couple called. They got the response saying, oh, you called the wrong number. But then when the news company called that number, they said, no, this is the number you're supposed to call when you're having flight problems and canceled flights. And again, as they went into it and got into it, nothing seemed to be coming, no response whatsoever. They could not seem to get anywhere with the cruise line. And I am flabbergasted by this because I guess I'm so used to certain cruise lines that I know their airline policy. I know they guarantee to get you there. And I was on a celebrity cruise ship when I got detained because my flights were canceled, and they helped me out. I got on the flight, no problem. It was done. That was, they refunded my money and everything. I've worked with another cruise line where I got COVID, and they got my money back, got my flights. They booked everything. It was no hassle. So I was very curious when I looked into this, and it turns out that after all this was going on, a few months into it, Norwegian came out with a new customer service policy where the company now allows travelers that were in the Dylan's predicament, whose flights were booked by the cruise line but canceled by the airline, to get refunded in future cruise credits. Now, it's not your money back, but at least you're getting something back. And after all this was done, they finally got about $7,600 refunded to them, which is still not the total cost of what they spent. But they also had travel insurance through the cruise line. Well, they had trouble again until NBCCT Responds contacted the insurance company, and the insurance company, almost 7 months after the first claim was put in, finally gave them another $1,000, which still didn't cover the total costs. And they're sharing this story to give people warning and that out there. So I was really flabbergasted by this. Like I said, I am so used to sailing and knowing the airline policy, but I don't cruise on Norwegian a lot. And so I decided to look into it, and I went to the Norwegian flight area on their webpage, and I looked and I read through their entire thing on their page. And at no point do I see anywhere that they guarantee me to get to my flight. Nowhere on there. And I looked everywhere. Now, that does not mean it might not be there. It might be in the cruise contract, it might be in the flight contract, but on their actual webpage for booking flights and let us help you with your flights, here's all the, and they go into specific details of flying into Honolulu, flying into Quebec, you know, times between flights for connections, minimum times, etc., etc., etc. But at no point do they say what happens if your flight is canceled and you miss the cruise anywhere on that page. And then I right away had a panic attack. Because I tell people who are booking my cruises right now that I have booked with Princess, like my group cruises, for instance, I just announced that Alaska group cruise, May 19th, 2023. 24, May 24th. I tell people, you know, when the flights are available, try and book through the cruise line because you have that extra insurance of getting there if something happens, like a snowstorm or a strike or something like that. And I had the panic attack thinking, what if I've been wrong? What if the policy has changed since the pandemic and I've just been under the assumption? Well, I went back to the Princess website, and right there, right on their flights, is their protection to guarantee you arrive in case of cancellations. Right on their website. So yeah, it's still there. So anyone booking through Princess, you're still covered. So my advice still stands. Thank goodness. Wow. But this story caught me so off guard because what's the benefit of booking your flights through the cruise line if you're not going to get that guarantee extra, right? If they're not going to help you in any way, if something happens and they tell you, well, just deal with the airline anyway, well, then why would I possibly go through the cruise line? Why would I not just try and get the best flights and book them myself and not have them choose my flights and, you know, the certain airlines and the certain times and things like that? I don't know, but yeah, just be warned. If you're going to book your flights through the cruise lines, double check their policy. Don't assume, like I was doing, that all airlines, like cruise lines, are the same, because apparently right now they're not. They have, some things have changed. So I'm just happy that my next cruise is still covered with the flights. Alright, well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. We'll see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world. Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.